In this video, we will be solving systems of equations by the elimination method. Example 1, solve the system by addition. So I have two equations. They are both in standard form. The x's, y's, the equal, and the constants are all lined up. So if I just add the columns, I see that my y terms cancel. I get 8x equals 24 and x equals 3. Now I can take 3, substitute it into one of the x's for the first or the second equation. I'll use the first equation. So I get 3 times 3 plus 2y equals 11. And now I can solve for y. It's a two-step equation. Y equals 1. Now I can check the solution in the other equation, the second equation, and I see that it works. In example 2, we first have to multiply one of the equations before we add, because if we add them as they are right now, none of the variables will eliminate. If I multiply by a -3 to the first equation and then add it to the second equation, my x's will cancel. I could have also gotten rid of the y's by multiplying the top equation by -2. Either way will work. So once I find one of the variables, I use an equation to find the last unknown. This time we're looking for x. Substitute 2 in for y, solve for x, I get -8. Now we check, and it works. Example 3. This time, we can't just multiply one equation. We have to multiply both equations and then add them so that we get one of the variables to cancel. So if I multiply the top equation by 4 and the bottom equation by 3, the x's will cancel. And then I can solve for y. Y equals 15. Now I can find x by substituting 15 for y in one of the top two equations. I'll use the first equation. 3x plus 4 times 15 equals 24. And now it's a two-step equation. And I get x equals -12. Now I need to check in the second equation, and it works. Okay, example 4. Solve the system. You have 48 quarters and nickels that add up to $5.60. How many quarters and nickels do you have? So let's say Q is the number of quarters, N is the number of nickels. So our total coins equation will be Q plus 9 equals 48. And then the total amount of money would be 0.25Q plus 0.05N equals 5.6. I can clear the decimals by multiplying by 100. And now I can eliminate Q or N. N will be the easiest because all we have to do is multiply the top equation by -5. And then you can see in that column 5N minus 5N, N's cancel. And then I can solve for Q. I get 16. I can use the top equation, substitute 16 for Q, and solve for N, and I get 32. Now check by putting it into the second equation, and we should see it works. There were 16 quarters and 32 nickels. Last one, example 5, solve the system. Two families go to Volcano Island Water Park. The first family bought 3 children and 7 adult tickets and spent $71. The second family bought 5 children and 3 adult tickets for $49. So I can say C is the children's price, A is the adult's price. You can see the equations that I wrote. 3C plus 7A equals 71. 5C plus 3A equals 49. I need to multiply something to both equations in order to cancel out a variable. I can do 5 and -3 as you see. So then the columns cancel out for C, and I can solve for A. Once I have A, which is 8, I could plug it back into one of the other two equations and solve for C. Final step will be to do a check, and I see it works. So the children's tickets cost $5 and the adults' tickets cost $8. I hope this all makes sense.